Most Americans grew up with clear expectations about life in their country, neighbors waving from across tidy lawns, affordable grocery bills, and a sense that problems were tackled together. But reality looks different now. Did you know the cost of everyday essentials from groceries to medicines is climbing much faster than most people remember from earlier decades, while the idea of a unified national identity grows more distant? A quiet supermarket filled with rising price tags, or neighbors exchanging only brief nods in driveways where families once gathered, have become common sights. Scenes that once symbolized togetherness now give way to routines marked by caution or even mistrust. This video lays out 10 core shifts, each reflected in real-life numbers and everyday moments, to explain what's changing in America today. But before we continue, hit that like button and subscribe. Number 10. The end of national consensus. In post-war neighborhoods, people described America as a land of opportunity, shared values, and community pride. 4th of July parades brought whole streets together. Flags waved on every stoop, and shared meals at diners or community picnics felt routine. Today, walk through any suburban street or city block, and divisions show up in the front yards, opposing political signs, neighbors barely exchanging greetings, or conversations that stop at the weather. Social media carries this mistrust further, with online discussions quick to divide rather than connect. Americans are used to the belief that everyone pulls together. That mindset has faded. The shift isn't just about who's elected or what makes headlines. It comes from deep changes in social connection, as fewer Americans attend local clubs, churches, or even family dinners. Once, a sense of unity felt automatic. Now, it can feel unusual, even unsettling, to find common ground. Number 9. The rising cost of everyday life. Prices have always gone up, but the speed now catches many by surprise. In 2013, a family spent about $4,600 a year on groceries. By 2023, that number jumped over $5,700 for the same basics: milk, bread, vegetables, and meat. A gallon of milk that once cost 99 cents now sells for $3. Housing tells the same story. Renting a one-bedroom apartment in many cities takes about $1,800 each month, while smaller towns charge close to $1,200. In the late 1970s, a new car averaged just over $3,500, whereas 2023 saw the average price top $48,000. Healthcare costs have exploded as well. An emergency room visit without insurance often runs more than $2,000, and even common prescriptions can double in price within a decade. What stands out in daily life is how much energy now goes into covering basic bills instead of planning for the future or enjoying small luxuries. Number 8. Nostalgia in place of progress. Before the digital age, nostalgia meant old family photographs, class reunions, or street corners where everyone recognized each other. Now, television reruns, movie sequels, and advertisements rely on memories of supposedly better times. These images, kids riding bikes without helmets, or busy lunch counters full of chatter, circulate as if they were the norm for everyone. The reality is more complex. Even the most comforting memories are built on complicated realities, social conflicts, economic downturns, or widespread restrictions. Many Americans look backward for stability, but those images rarely match what day-to-day life actually looked like. Nostalgia helps with coping, but offers little direction for what comes next. Number 7. The myth of America's golden age. Stories about a time when prosperity reached every corner of the nation remain common, but they rarely hold up to examination. Since World War II, the United States has spent more than 70% of the years involved in foreign military operations or conflicts, from Korea and Vietnam to Iraq and Afghanistan. The idea of an era of lasting peace doesn't match the historical record. Economic boom years in the 1950s and 1960s brought strong growth and new suburban homes, but the benefits were far from equal. Racial segregation and gender barriers remained in place, and many rural areas missed out. Older Americans remember busy main streets and packed union halls, yet also faced layoffs, high inflation, or limited opportunity. The golden age for most depended on where you lived and your background. The good old days often leave out struggles that shaped communities just as much as prosperity. Number 6. American culture everywhere, and what's lost. Anyone who's traveled internationally over the past 30 years has noticed American influence on display. Fast food chains like McDonald's, Starbucks, and KFC line the high streets of London and the plazas of Madrid. American movies fill theaters in Tokyo. Music from Nashville or Los Angeles plays in cafes across Europe or South America. Jeans and sneakers, once symbols of American youth, are everyday wear in Japan, Brazil, and even parts of rural Africa. This reach comes at a price. Traditional bakeries in France now sell muffins next to baguettes. Local shops in Ireland display cans of imported soda beside regional brands. Cafes in Greece pull American-style espresso shots for tourists, sometimes serving them in disposable cups. These changes make many places feel familiar, but blur the local history or customs that once set each country apart. Most Americans don't notice the extent of this overlap until they travel and see a familiar strip mall where a family bakery once stood. Number 5. From making to consuming. Decades ago, American towns were built around factories. It was common to see workers heading to local plants, their lunchboxes in hand, ready for the day's first shift. Neighborhoods grew along with the plants: a Ford assembly line, a steel mill, or a textile shop. In 1979, the United States had over 19 million manufacturing jobs. By 2023, fewer than 13 million remained. Modern city skylines feature fewer cranes and new industrial projects than before. Instead, Americans spend more. 68% of GDP now comes from personal consumption, mostly on goods produced abroad. Grocery stores and electronics retailers are filled with imports from China, Vietnam, or Mexico. Formerly bustling towns now have empty lots where factories once stood. The change is visible in faded loading docks and warehouses now converted to self-storage or gyms. This shift affects not just the economy, but the way Americans view themselves, less as builders and more as buyers. Number 4. The balance between independence and community. American culture values self-reliance. From early childhood, stories celebrate independence and tough-minded ambition. But when the unexpected happens, floods, winter storms, or health crises, individual action alone isn't enough. Previously, churches or neighborhood groups organized food drives, rebuilt homes, or checked on those living alone during cold nights. Local events like block parties, bingo halls, or PTA meetings created frequent points of contact. Today, technology enables people to solve problems on their own, but can leave them isolated. Apps might deliver groceries or solve a technical problem, yet elders or new arrivals might never meet a neighbor face-to-face. Many realize that while freedom is prized, it doesn't always build strong communities. The contradiction is clear. American ideals applaud rugged independence, but the need for cooperation remains as pressing as ever. Number 3. Changing views of America abroad. The international opinion of the United States has shifted in noticeable ways. In the 1960s and 1970s, American travelers often had their passports admired and were welcomed with open questions about life back home. Walk through a market in Paris or a piazza in Rome, and tourists from the U.S. once drew curiosity or even respect. Today, surveys from major research groups show favorability of U.S. leadership declining in Western Europe and most of Latin America. Many now see Americans as impatient or self-important, especially when news headlines focus on domestic disagreements or global policy changes. In restaurants or train stations abroad, American English can prompt wary glances, where once it brought eager conversation. This change doesn't go unnoticed when frequent travelers find attitudes have cooled, even in places that once admired American openness and optimism. Number 2. Support systems under strain. The promises of help for Americans during hard times aren't as reliable as they once were. Food assistance programs such as EBT face new eligibility restrictions each year, while WIC and rental aid budgets may shrink or disappear in certain states. In many major cities, rental support is limited to only a few thousand families, despite tens of thousands who apply. Over 22% of American children need food assistance at some point, figures that would have been shocking in past decades. In the 1960s, many Americans trusted that hard work and community ties would keep families safe from hardship. Today, complicated applications and long waiting lists replace that certainty. A parent trying to find affordable housing or consistent healthcare often ends up navigating complicated systems with little guidance. The expectation of a strong safety net no longer matches the experience of many working families. Here, the contradiction is strongest. America's story is one of opportunity, yet for millions, daily life brings insecurity and sometimes a sense of being left behind. Number 1. What does it mean to be American? Now, ask a group of Americans what ties them together, and the answers vary more than ever. Some might point to the flag or military service, others to constitutional rights, or the dream of personal success. Yet everyday scenes reveal how thin these shared threads have become. Crowded highways with impatient drivers, busy office complexes where most faces are unfamiliar, and supermarkets where cashiers and customers rarely exchange more than a few words, all point to decreased social connection. Americans are used to trusting that government agencies will protect their interests and that neighbors will step up in tough times. Today, many feel on their own. It's common now to find neighborhood parks empty after dark, or school gyms filled with only a few families on game night. Acts of kindness, like sharing baked goods or offering to mow a neighbor's lawn, stand out as exceptions. The question of what brings Americans together no longer has a simple answer. Where a sense of common purpose guided daily life, now uncertainty and isolation often fill the gap. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.